We are live. Look at this dad fit he got off. Look at him. Look at him. What'd you do that for? Huh? You did that for daddy?
I did. Did that for the babies.
For the babies. Oh man.
It feels good to dress up even when you're stuck at home sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, no, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get when people say that, but I don't know. I'm just at a point now where like every fit has to be comfortable. So some of the fits I get off are like they're comfortable because you're outside and you have to wear jeans.
Right. In comparison to your normal sweats and undershirt.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I get dressed up for this podcast.
Clearly,
that's what this is, dressed up.
Yeah.
I put on a black shirt instead of like a dingy white V-neck that I've had for like 7 years. So
it's like late 80s, early 90s NWA.
Yeah, I'll rock with that.
Yeah, there you go.
My hats are all in the garage, so I can't really complete the fit, but all right. So we're still remote casting. And, obviously it's given us an opportunity to get some content on our YouTube page. So just in case you're listening to this, you can see our beautiful faces and you can see Adam's immaculate dad fit. You want to see this?
I do, actually.
See this. If you want to, you can go to our YouTube page. Look at him.
Is he in Hawaii? Love it.
You can go to the YouTube page and you can see his immaculate fit and his just perfect beard. Yeah.
It's the only two things I got.
Yeah, that's it. So hold on to him. Hold him dear. And the reason that we're still doing this is because I don't know if we talked about it. Did we talk about it last week?
I don't
or the week
there's
before.
Been a moment that we've talked without talking about it.
That's true. So I'm still reeling from these positive tests that I've been getting. So apparently this is something that happens to some people wherein they're just positive. They just keep getting positive COVID tests. And I'm one of those lucky few. I feel absolutely fine. I don't know. At this point, I'm just like, it's doing something to my overall morale as a person.
Being trapped inside, under house arrest.
It's not the being trapped inside so much as it is the feeling like, I don't know. It feels weird. Anytime you tell somebody you're almost ready for the recoil,
Yeah.
I guess like how people, I'm not going to go that way, but it's just I don't know. It feels like there's starting to become a stigma.
Yeah, it's a taboo of sorts that once you test positive, you're untouchable.
Yeah, and I don't like it. I like to be touched.
You're a sullied man.
I don't want to be sullied.
I just remembered we did definitely talk about it last time because I was rewatching the last episode, and this is one of the first times in a long time I made myself cringe.
Why?
I don't know, and I just want to apologize to everyone listening and watching. I made a terrible joke. It was just really bad. It was when you said that you got your positive test, and I said, were they positive or were they positive that you were negative?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's a negative that they're positive that you're positive. And I just, in that moment, I just wanted to shrink into myself and disappear for a while. So I don't know what rehashing it here is doing.
Making it worse.
But I just needed to get it off my chest.
Well,
the Catholic guilt of that turd that slid out of my mouth, it needed to be heard.
I think the self-awareness and the acknowledgement of how bad the joke was I think should make you feel better. You look
Yeah.
back on this episode and go, well, I nipped that one.
Yeah. I just need to get it off my chest. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, before we continue down this long and troublesome and depressing road,
Okay.
let's talk about the beers we're drinking tonight.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, you want to go first?
Sure. So I think we visited them last episode as well. Sideward Brewing, People of the Sun,
People of the Sun.
is
Nope.
a beer that I picked up for you last time too.
No.
For my
but just
birthday.
for your birthday. But just this past weekend, they had another release of the People of the Sun. This time with sugar. Well, that's in the original one. Watermelon and Dragonfruit is a differentiator on this bad boy.
Nice.
So, I got both of them out so I can taste test and differentiate the flavors and let you know which one's my favorite.
All right. Speaking of cringe, because I just remembered when you brought that up, I just remembered. I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before. I ended the show, our sign off, and I pointed at you.
Mm-hmm.
But since the image is flipped, I was pointing, and I guess this would be pointing at you now.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So it flipped,
Okay.
and I looked like an asshole. So I watched that back, and I was like,
Bye.
I mean, why wouldn't it tell me that it not only does I guess the mirror image thing, I don't know, but it made me cringe too. I was like, you fucking idiot.
It should appear the way that it's going to look.
You would think, but I guess
One would think.
since they have to flip it, I guess like a selfie camera. I don't know. Anyway, we're both cringing. So my beer for tonight comes from Jacksonville, baby. We've done Intuition before. This is a limited release. It is their Party Wave New England IPA. It actually has a cold read, and I'm sorry, Adam.
It hurts more than you know.
I'm gonna have to do this one. Here's some more cringe for you. This juicy and dank IPA is loaded to the max with hops, brah. I'm gonna redo that.
Okay.
This juicy and dank IPA is loaded to the max with hops, brah. That's what they wanted.
Better.
Party Wave is radical on the beach, choice on the couch, totally tubular at the bonfire. Take a chill pill, grab a brewski, dude, and shred the gnar. That really, really upsets me. That really upsets me. I don't like. I kind of don't even want to drink the beer now.
Shred the gnar.
Shred the gnar, but we will, and you know why?
Why?
Because this is the One Beer In podcast.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out.
So you got
4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where I fit in. Yes.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Same time.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm stuck in the house for another. Well, okay. So here's the thing. I don't know if anybody regularly checks the CDC guidelines for this kind of thing. And I know that sounds like a weird thing, but maybe people should be doing that.
I was this close to making fun of that, but yeah, actually, we probably should be checking that at least once a week or something.
Yeah, I was being facetious, but then as I was saying it, I was like, we should be keeping an eye on that. Especially since considering doctors get their basically get their orders from the CDC on how to proceed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, traditionally you would think that most governments and societies would be somewhat dictated in their policy based on what the CDC is recommending too.
Right.
But we've seen a pushback against that with the school reopenings, saying that the CDC shouldn't get in the way of reopening schools. That's another can of worms.
We're seeing a pushback on intelligent discourse on the whole. So that's anything that seems like, oh, that's a good idea. Expect a large portion of the population to be like, don't like it. It's a bad idea. It's entrenching on my rights.
Why?
You're encroaching. Encroachment. I remember that was one of the first football penalties that I learned when I was a kid. Encroachment. And then they don't call it in real life. Like I learned it on Quarterback Club, 98. They would just go encroachment. But it's all offsides. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, all the doctors are taking their orders from the CDC. And so anything that gets put on that website, people should be keeping their eye on. And I say that because they've updated it as of this recording 2 days ago. And I'll pull it up. I'll pull that bitch up.
Are you going to do another cold read in my face?
No, I would never. I only do what I have to do, okay? So this is the assessment as of July 20th, 2020. Available data indicates that persons with mild to moderate COVID-19 remain infectious no longer than 10 days after symptom onset. Persons with more severe to critical illness or severe immunocompromise likely remain infectious no longer than 20 days after symptom onset. Recovered persons can continue to shed detectable SARS-CoV and upper respiratory specimens for up to 3 months after illness onset, albeit at concentrations considerably lower than during illness in ranges where replication-competent virus has not been reliably recovered and infectiousness is unlikely. Meaning, even after the 30-day mark, you're at a point where you may still test positive, but your chances on spreading it are unlikely. If you have,
saying there's a chance,
and that's for people who are immunocompromised.
right?
If a person has just got mild symptoms, they're now switching to. Their recommendation is to switch to a symptoms-based return to work guideline, basically.
Right.
And it only takes 10 days of isolation and not the previously thought or accepted 2 weeks, full 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Which, again, it's just like who fucking, I mean, the more we know, obviously, the better. And this is good news. But it's also like, how long is this good news going to last?
Well, and it just sounds so uncertain. I know that it's written that way on purpose because they don't want to give people the idea that this is a for sure, uniform 100% of the time. Everyone is, not infectious anymore after 10 days. But
yeah. Well, and they have a disclaimer down at the bottom too to kind of reiterate what you were saying.
Right. I mean, I get all that, but at the same time, it's not very reassuring.
No.
Because, like we wanted to record today, but given that news, but because my mom is immunocompromised, it's just still uncomfortable to do that if there's even a chance of that being the case. So
that makes sense. You just don't want to be around me. I get it. I'm like a leper.
True. That is true. Can you get it over the internet?
I mean, we're going to figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, I agree with you, honestly. I mean, I obviously want to get out of the house, but the other thing is, it's not worth the risk. This is working perfectly fine, I guess.
Don't jinx it. Remember that one time my headphones stopped working mid-podcast?
Yeah, that was good. That was fun.
Yeah.
It's obviously enough, well, not obviously, but it's enough for my job, who's like, hey, these are the CDC guidelines, so come on back. And now I'm like, do I have grounds to be like, I don't want to. I know I do. I do. I'm not afraid to, stand up for my rights because I kind of want to get out of the house, but I don't want to be.
Not like this.
Yeah, I don't want to walk in and people are gonna be like their desks like move out of the way and everybody parts like the Red Sea that gets in my. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Leave me the fuck alone. Let me walk to my desk. Don't talk to me. Don't even look at me.
Hushed murmurs.
You know what? Fine. I'll be like Cersei when she's walking through and they're shame, except for everybody's just hushed.
Yeah.
They're just watching me walk through the town, no clothes on, just a mask, dick out. You didn't like that?
I thought I had that on private.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I'm going to take another one, obviously, and try to get to the bottom of this shit. But I'm at a point where, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, again, at least you're feeling okay, and I guess that's the most important thing. And you have been quarantining and being safe and keeping everybody else safe. So
yeah,
it's the right thing to do in this situation.
Yeah. Do you think that Kanye has COVID?
No.
No?
I think he's got other things going on.
Something has to be infecting his brain.
Something's going on.
Something. And I don't know. Maybe that's a little insensitive.
A little bit.
To people who have COVID and people who have mental illnesses.
Trying to offend as many people as possible.
Hey man, I have it too, so we're all in this together. We're all in this together. But seriously, did you watch his campaign rally?
I saw bits and pieces. I didn't sit down for the entire 18-minute long spiel.
I would never know because I've never in my life watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I've only seen the kind of hot bits that people have been circulating.
Yeah, there's no reason to really go in. Go into the actual campaign rally because that's kind of been done to death, really.
Yeah, it's a bit old news at this point, and
yeah,
I mean, mostly because of what's happened after the fact.
And so much has happened after the fact. Yeah. I couldn't even keep up with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean he's known for going on tour. Well, he used to be known for going on. As soon as he got one, I remember it, dude. I remember it was exciting for white hipsters for him to jump on Twitter. And I swear to God, dude, they would write articles about his tweets, just the weird shit that he would say. They'd write articles about, and they'd meme it, and I mean his Twitter page just became like the stuff of legend, and it was just the most innocuous things. But I guess it's because at the time, a mega star was on Twitter saying weird stuff, which now is par of the course. But in 2012, 2013, that wasn't. Twitter has evolved. Back then, there was obvious. It is what it was, but they didn't have somebody like Kanye go on there and just say shit like. I remember one tweet because I've seen more than one article. He said something like, "I hate when you're on a plane, when you fall asleep on the plane, and the stewardess gives you a water bottle, because now I'm responsible for this water bottle." And people just, I mean, look, we're starting to get to a point where the sheen on him, even for people who think that he's this Einstein of modern culture, the sheen is starting to kind of rub off a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot for a lot of people.
A lot, yeah.
And it's still... I bring up the old tweets because his Twitter rants used to be celebrated. Now, to a lot of people, they seem like a cry for help.
Yeah. I mean, I think most recently it became clear that it went from kind of entertaining to worrisome very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
When you get
No.
a guy like him who is
No, you're fine.
not only a huge star, but also brutally honest about his stardom and a lot of times what happens around him.
Yeah.
It's refreshing, when he's talking about how he feels about the being on E! Network and the Kardashians and how he feels about Travis Scott and Drake and, how he feels about designers doubting him and things like that. All that stuff is like reminiscent of the old Kanye. But then you start seeing other stuff. It's just kind of troublesome.
Yeah.
Stuff
Well, I
that
mean, just things that you can tell are just not meant for us. When it starts getting to a crisis with his family publicly, it's just uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
Even if they're public figures and I saw myself that a lot of people were reacting like this is just part of the reality TV show. But
yeah.
I mean, taking it at face value, and that's really all we can do, assuming this isn't some just like performance art thing that he's putting on. I mean, that's really troubling for anyone to publicly get online and air out issues you have with your wife.
Do you think, truthfully, when you see him acting like this and then an album comes out, do you think that he's doing it on purpose to get attention?
I mean, I would say I would say yes, but I just feel like if that's true, he's playing the longest of long games on everyone. Like
yeah.
to pretend that he's having these issues and to got to drag his family through the dirt, hinting at infidelity and talking about abortions and all these like really heavy, serious subjects.
Yeah.
On Twitter to complete strangers. I mean, to do that, like, and to not really be having some kind of crisis, I don't know. That is the ultimate of selling your soul, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, like, if they're okay with it, because a lot of people, look at the Kardashians as opportunistic people and willing to do anything to sell.
Yeah.
Maybe come up with this, I guess, idea that maybe they're all in on it and this is just a big act. But
yeah,
that's conspiracy theory to me. I don't know. This entire thing just yesterday, a couple days ago, kind of it broke that barrier for me of like, it's probably bullshit. It's probably just promotion. It seems like there's an actual crisis going on. Maybe it's spurned on because he's also trying to promote this album, and maybe that pressure got to him and affected him in this way that he, publicly acted out.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. To me, I'm pretty skeptical about this kind of stuff. Being in marketing myself, like you see a lot of viral marketing things that are in guerrilla marketing. That's like, oh, let's test the barrier between marketing and reality.
Mm-hmm.
But this goes beyond the pale for me a little bit.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know. I'm not sure, but this seems real to me. What do you think?
I mean, every time it's been pretty well documented now for the past, I don't know, 5-6 albums. He has stirred some kind of controversy when he's rolling out an album. And so people always go to an album is obviously coming. And, right on cue, he announced both God's Country, and then he pulled that one back and he said, no, it's called Donda. Mm-hmm. So he's playing on, Donda's, his mother's name, mm-hmm. and who's famously been an inspiration for, basically Donda West represents everything that's still good and holy about Kanye, or as far as his image is concerned.
Yeah.
And so anytime she gets brought up, anytime that she's used in any kind of marketing or anything like that, it is to kind of get that image in your head. Not to say that this album is doing the same thing, but I've seen clearly in the past that whenever she's brought up, it's used to go, you know, it's almost, she's almost got this sainthood when it comes to like the entire Kanye mystique, you know?
Yeah.
So
I remember back in the day he was trying to develop a game where she's like an angel and you
he made the game.
Oh, did
he made the game. It's basically a what are those endless runners?
Endless runner, yeah.
Is that they're just called endless runners?
Yeah.
Yeah. He made one of those and I guess you make it to heaven at some point. I don't know. It was a cute little game. People fucking shredded it cuz I don't know. Oh, this was in the midst of another nervous breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
This time it was around My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Wait, I need to stop you right there because I think you just came up with a brilliant idea. A reality baking show timed nervous breakdown.
Oh, I stumbled over my words, didn't I?
You did, but I think you stumbled in the right direction. I think that needs to happen.
Nervous breakdown. Okay, so wait, is it all people with generalized and social anxiety trying to cook under pressure?
Yes, and then like they just have people jump out at them
while they're trying to, yeah. Every time they open up like a counter or like a fucking pantry, somebody's waiting in there. That's good. It's documented. That is trademark. You came up with that.
Nervous breakdown.
Mm-hmm. So no, you're good. It's a good idea. You know that's how the title of this show came to be. I don't know if you remember that, but we were having a conversation like this, and I said it's a show where we're one beer in, and then you're like, that's it. That's the title.
That's it.
So hey, man, genius, right? It comes when you least expect it.
There you go.
So his new album's Donda. He's got the rally, the I'm running for president thing, which again, it's just like it's so full of ineptitude that it's staggering. He has this this crazy rally where he's saying all kinds of shit about, like you said, abortions. I mean, it's like he's flying off the seat of his pants. Literally, he's coming up with policies on the fly. Yeah. People are like checking him in the middle of his rally, and he's like, well, I mean, this is what we'll do instead. And he's just coming up with ideas on the fly. And it's like anyone who's like, yeah, but, I mean, it's like, no, dude, there's no yeah, but. Okay, this is out of control now.
Every clip that I saw of that rally, he was rambling like somebody who just did about 10 lines of coke. It's about 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And they're just annoying their friend that they're with.
Right. Everyone's asleep on the couch, and he's up, and he's doing rails, and he just comes up like, and
you know,
I think what you should do is you should give $1 million to the women who don't abort their babies. Right? That's an idea. You know, like, all right, man, we've been up since like fucking 4 yesterday.
You know what I like? Weed. Let's make it legal everywhere. That's why, because I smoked yesterday.
Hey, man, I shoot guns. Kids shoot guns. I got 6-year-olds shoot guns. Guns are fun. Let's make guns legal everywhere.
I mean, I have to agree with him on that one.
Guns are fun. Guns are fun.
Guns are fun.
So to kind of get back to the original question, I think that what it is it's a combination of, yes, he does things. I think he does things to be in the spotlight, but I also think that whenever it's not a coincidence that all of this stuff happens around album rollouts. And I say that to mean not that he's doing these things on purpose, but that there's more eyes on him around a rollout. and he's trying to get attention. So I'm not saying that he's doing quote unquote crazy things or doing these rants and stuff to get the attention. I think it's a nature of needing the attention for the album. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think I don't think in his book he has, abortion. Yes? No? I don't know. On his list of to-dos when he's putting an album out. I just think it happens by the nature of having all these eyes on him when he needs to put something out.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be my guess too. Is just that I think that it's just maybe this is just the cycle of the way his mind works. He becomes really manic and really jittery and nervous, and has these episodes whenever it's about to be album time because that pressure of wanting to get this project out. But I'm sure he's a perfectionist and all those things too weigh heavy on creatives. So yeah, I mean, it's again like we said before, it's really hard to talk on this because we don't know what's going on with him. I mean, we saw that. I don't know if you saw that letter that Kim Kardashian put out.
Yeah, I saw her statement.
Right. So she made it clear that as we've known, he has bipolar disorder, and hinted at it being the reason why he's having these outbursts right now. So
yeah, and people. She put that statement out. I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it on the show so it's cemented in stone. I'm telling you right now, mark my words, if something happens to Kanye, or if he does something, if he some kind of self-inflicted harm or anything, she will be blamed for it. And it happens all the time. Women who are in these situations, for some reason, it's their responsibility to be the punching bag, the proverbial punching bag, hopefully not the literal.
Yeah.
And the receptacle for all of the garbage that troubled men go through. Mm-hmm. And they did it with Mac Miller.
Yeah.
It was Ariana Grande's fault that he killed himself. Mm-hmm. It wasn't his depression and anything else that was bothering him. It wasn't his choice to do this. It was, in fact, it wasn't his choice. It was an accidental overdose. But that's beside the point. When he first killed himself, everyone went after her because she had broken up with him recently and then got with Pete Davidson really quickly. And so apparently that pushed him over the edge, and then he didn't care about life anymore. So that's her fault that he made a choice and she made a choice. She obviously did what she needed to do to be healthier, right? To put herself in a healthier situation, or at least she thought. I don't know. My point is, it's their fault. It's Kanye's fault. It's Mac Miller's fault. I know that you don't want to hear it, not you, but the Mac fans. I know you guys don't want to hear it, but he chose to do what he did by his own volition. It's not Ariana Grande's fault, and it's not going to be Kim Kardashian's fault. And I saw somebody post a tweet that said, Kanye needs a black woman's love. What? And this was a black woman that posted it. So that's what we're going to do? Not only is his wife not good enough, but he needs to dump all his garbage on a black woman?
Right. Yeah,
I'm tired of his mom died, cut him some slack. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of it. It's not a good argument. It was when he was still dealing with that. I mean, I'm not going to say that he's not dealing with it. Who knows? I'm not saying that.
Fine.
Not saying that. What I'm saying is he's a grown-ass man, and we can't keep chalking up every decision that he makes and every mistake that he makes to somebody else's problem.
Yeah, well,
why does Kim Kardashian have to be the one? I mean, the statement she put out, she had to put that out because all the crazy shit he was saying on Twitter and all these people saying, where are his people? Do you really think that Kanye West is just sitting in this giant mansion by himself and no one's going, hey, are you all right? Mm-hmm. Like, I just refuse to believe that. There's no way that this guy with 4 kids living with upwards of like 20 people on that farm, there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
You think he locked himself in a bunker and was like, I'm going to get these tweets off. And there's no one there to check on him? You think Dave Chappelle was the first person to fly out and check on him? He was the first person?
He sent him right back as soon as he couldn't make a joke on demand.
Dude, that shit is weird.
Speaking of cringe.
Right.
No, I literally had to emergency abort out of that video. Because I was like, oh, my skin's crawling. Oh, no.
I had to stop it and then restart it. Because when he first started doing it, I started to like sweat. I was so uncomfortable with what he was doing. And then I was like, let me go back in. I have to see the end of this.
No, I couldn't do it. But yeah.
You say.
Dogs are barking. These dogs are barking. You can hear it.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, I was going to say something that stood out to me in Kim's response to all this was that, she said anyone who's dealt with, mental issues or somebody who has mental issues, specifically bipolar disorder, knows that, like, it doesn't matter how much you want to help them, they need to help themselves.
Right.
Which is 100% true.
Right.
You can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. And I think that was the biggest thing you can pull from that response. Like, yeah, I mean, it's not like Kanye doesn't have a support system if he wants it. It's not like, and not knowing him personally, obviously, but I can easily assume he has a family, like there are enough people around him that are probably have been trying to seek help for him. Yeah. If he doesn't accept it, then there's not much you can do. Right. And going back to what you were saying before about, it's Kanye's fault, it's Mac Miller's fault. I think we need to steer away from pointing blame at anyone, because specifically with those two people, Kanye didn't ask to have bipolar disorder. Right. He didn't ask to have addiction problems. Right. So, I think blame is something that we should shift away from and instead focus on, unfortunately, that was the situation, but these people can or could have seeked out appropriate help. It's unfortunate they didn't or haven't yet, but there are other avenues. They're not destined to fail or to go down this hole of, depression or manic episodes or addiction. Yeah. Eventually leading to death, Right. That makes sense, and I agree with you. Like blaming them for their. I was more trying to illustrate that it's not anyone else's fault. No. Now I see what you're saying. No one's really at fault. It's just a tragic situation, and there shouldn't be, you did this or you did this. So I see what you're saying. It just bothers me whenever I see anyone else being blamed for someone else's actions. Yeah. Especially grown-ass men. Right. Yeah, I mean, it's way easier to do that when your idol has an issue to go, oh, well, it's clearly because of, his significant other or the friends he has around. Yeah. It couldn't possibly be that this person had issues that they needed to deal with, and for whatever reason, they weren't able. Right. It couldn't possibly be on that person. It has to be some external force that is pushing my hero to do the things that he's doing. Right. So when Kanye says these crazy things at his rallies, or when Kanye supports Donald Trump, or when he says the things about Harriet Tubman and all this stuff, it can't possibly be his actual line of thinking, right? It has to be his bipolar disorder, right? And that's the kind of shit that bothers me, because people just they can't accept that somebody's making a choice. Yeah. I mean,
and maybe there's obviously a lot more going on than we're ever going to be aware of. But you have to stop putting these guys on a pedestal. And I'm guilty of it too. I mean, this is well documented how big of a fan I was of Kanye on this podcast.
Yeah.
So it's not as if this doesn't hurt to say, but I'm done with it, man. I'm done with the. I mean, like, for example, the abortion thing. We keep hitting on that because it was a hot button issue from the Forbes interview that he did. So he was pro-life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he does his rally and he's like, you know, I'm pro-choice, but I want to put incentives in place to help a woman if she decides to not have an abortion. Now, setting aside the absolute lunacy of a program dedicated to women who keep their babies, because it's just, what does that mean? And who do you define as those people? Do they have to go to Planned Parenthood and then change their minds and then they get $1 million? How are you going to stop from every single pregnant woman going to Planned Parenthood and just going, I need that milli? It's just an idiotic, but let's set that aside. Mm-hmm. The fact that all it took was a little bit of public pressure for him to go, you know what? I'm pro-choice now.
Actually.
It's like, listen, I'm pro-choice. And so to hear that we're on the same wavelength is nice, but I don't believe him.
No.
Because he said what he said, and he said how he felt about it. And then after public pressure, it's like, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. It's like, motherfucker, you're running for president, quote unquote. You need to have this shit down packed, ready to go. What are you talking about?
It reminds me a little bit of another guy that, you know, enjoys power, may have it right now. But, you know.
Talk to him, boo-boo. Let him know.
But, yeah, I think that's nail on the head. Like, Kanye has historically almost flaunted his ignorance.
Yeah.
And as a benefit in some way of it, him being more pure because he doesn't read a lot. He just goes from his heart. He speaks from the heart. And it goes based off his own ideas. Like, okay, that's fine if your only job is to make albums. Like, okay, cool, do that. Do that all you want. But when you start talking about policy that affects people, you're out of your depth, my friend. Like, you got to read a book sometimes.
You got to read a book, bud.
I'm sorry. You just got to do it.
I'm sorry. I hate to do it. I hate to put this on you, but you got to read one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Kim, unfortunately, had to come out with that statement. But I think that won her some favor in the situation as far as sympathy and, you know.
I don't know, man. If you look at the responses to it, there's a lot of people who are like, well, then you need to get him help. This is what's making me so angry about this whole issue is even when she says something like that, like, look, I understand that people don't like the Kardashian clan. The idea of them rubs millions of people the wrong way. The way that they got their money, the way that they present themselves, yada, yada. I get it. Me personally, I don't have a problem with the Kardashians. I don't think about them one way or the other. I think that in America, when you have all these people who want to celebrate capitalism, and I know that capitalism now is this thing that we're all of a sudden shitting on, but from a capitalistic standpoint, you can't do any better than I had a sex tape. At first it sucked, but then I flipped it, and now I've turned it into a multi-billion-dollar industry on the strength of who I am as a person. I just don't think you can get better than that.
Not only her entire family.
Yeah, they took that, and the fact that they are somehow connected to the fiber of America through O.J. Simpson and Rob Kardashian. They took those two connections, and then they've carved out an entire space in pop culture for them alone. You hear Kardashian, you know exactly what I'm talking about and who I'm talking about. You don't even have to think about it if you're in this country.
Yeah.
So I'm not praising them. That's just the reality of the situation. But I'm also not going to denigrate them for taking a situation and turning it into $1 billion. Like,
Right.
so when I see them make a statement, I don't automatically go, fuck them. It's Kim Kardashian saying something. She's a human being.
Yeah.
I mean, she's ditzy on the show, I guess, but that doesn't mean she doesn't deserve respect when you read something like that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you talk about her turning that bad situation with the sex tape into lemons and lemonade, basically.
Right.
But then Kanye,
What, you got something to say?
Uh-oh.
You got an opinion?
I have a very big opinion
On what?
on what you just said.
Okay. The floor is open, ma'am.
Can you hear her clearly?
Yeah, I can hear clearly now.
You want to get something off your chest?
I just, respectfully, I'd have to disagree
Body double.
with you about the whole Kim Kardashian thing because, like you said, they built most of their, rapport on the backs of quite literally Kim's back.
That was good.
That was good. Thank you. But what she did with her fame, I think, is pretty detrimental to women as a whole. I mean, she's obviously a beautiful woman, but she completely, changed how she looked to kind of get this image of herself, which is fine. Do what you got to do. But because she became so popular so quickly, because of the show, because of everything, you've got so many women who look to them as, like, idols.
Mm-hmm.
And it has completely, like, deranged, I think, women's perspective of what's pretty. You know?
But how is that different from any other supermodel of the past 20
No,
years?
it's not. It's not. I'm not comparing that. But the fact that you said, it doesn't mean that the first thing when I see Kim Kardashian or any of the Kardashians talk about something, the first thing I do is fuck her. I do. I literally do. I hate them all. I don't like them. Maybe I can give them credit when it's due. Like, they definitely did build products and they're doing it, go you. But the first thing I think of is, she's a human, let me hear her out. No, fuck that bitch.
Okay, I don't think like, well, let's hear her out. I don't have an opinion either way, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't have strong feelings towards them, the way that obviously you do.
I really do,
and a lot of people
really
do.
Well, it's only because I think maybe the people who I see personally and just other, Instagram celebrities, people on Twitter, who will like repost some of their content, and like the way that they talk about them as if like they are these like perfect gods and goddesses and what they do, and it's like, but that's not what I literally saw a surgeon. I follow a lot of medical shit now on Instagram and Twitter, and a plastic surgeon literally did a comparison of like a woman's physique versus a plastic surgeon physique.
I think I saw that.
Trying
There's
to
like
break
2
it down.
diagrams.
Yeah, of like where your waist should be, and if it's right below your belly button, clearly it's fake, which we all know, like, their body image right now is completely distorted.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that women are thinking like, oh wow, if my waist doesn't look like that, I'm not pretty.
Yeah.
And the fact that they don't say anything about that.
Yeah.
I wish if she would have been like, any of them, this is what I do, this is my image, I like plastic surgery, whatever, like, don't follow me, do what you gotta do. They might have said anything like that, I'd be like, alright, that's a prerogative.
But I don't think that they ever were like, you need to look like me. I think that they were trying to emulate an image that they already had of what was beautiful in America and took it to the next level. And now there's women who see that, but it's not as if the Kardashians are the start of body dysmorphia in America.
I think they were at the pivotal moment. I think they're right there at the cusp, right before it crashes and burns.
I don't know. I disagree. I don't think that I understand that they are hugely influential now, but I think that that's ignoring American history and pop culture for the past 30 years of women, black women in general, having to look on the TV and not see themselves and see the epicenter or the apex of beauty being somebody that looks like Pamela Anderson, for instance, and that is it. That is the top of the mountain of beauty.
Right.
That was going on for decades before the Kardashians were even thought of. They were children at that point.
Yeah.
So I think that there's always been this.
I don't know. I guess you're right. You're definitely right.
They perpetuated it. They didn't do anything to help it.
Not to dismiss history, obviously, but I'm just saying, I just like to think if I ever became famous, I would do everything I possibly could to like make sure that women and men feel comfortable in any capacity. And I don't think they're using their platform in a way that I think is beneficial for everyone. I
can agree with you on that. I don't see them doing a lot of body positivity, be comfortable in your natural skin.
Yeah. There's not. And the thing is, especially with TikTok nowadays, like our niece is 13, almost 13, and she's talking to me about certain things that she doesn't think looks right on her body. Yeah. And I'm like, you're 12 years old. Yeah. Go outside and play in the mud. Eat some bugs. It's good protein,
Right.
But instead, she's worried about how she looks like on her TikToks. And so it's like, I don't know. You kind of get like a different perspective when you start to have personal people in your life reach out to you.
Yeah.
And they're already like, I was a boy when I was a boy until I was like 16.
She was a boy.
Shut up. I wore Marco's clothes. And not the good kind. The basketball shorts that didn't match. It was awful.
It was bad.
So,
really bad.
I don't know.
All right, well, that's
my bad.
Obviously that
this
triggered.
Is the Lottie Show.
and I think that
when they double team you like this.
Here's the thing. We should get back to that on another episode.
Yeah, well, I was before she left, I was going to ask her through you.
She'll come back.
Why is it Kim Kardashian's job to make people comfortable with her body?
I think
choose to
comfortable with her body or comfortable with their bodies.
Well, it sounded like Lottie was trying to say, like, because she got all this work done, she's given this unrealistic expectation for both men and women for what a woman's body should look like.
Yeah, I think that's what she was saying. Yeah,
I understand that, and I agree completely. But at the same time, isn't that her choice? Like, can she not do that without having to put a disclaimer saying,
this is right.
You shouldn't try to achieve this. It's unnatural. Like,
yeah.
I don't think that's her job. I think that it's the job of, everyone as a community to come together and say, don't expect to look like that without hundreds of thousands of dollars of plastic surgery.
Yeah. I think the thing is, get out of the mirror.
Sorry.
I
think,
didn't know if you could yourself.
I think that is a conversation not just about Kim Kardashian, but about the influence of celebrity as a whole, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that it's a celebrity's responsibility to teach anybody anything, unless that's their job, obviously. But if you're just a person who got famous because you can catch a ball really good, I don't think it's their responsibility to, like, when people go, you're a role model, you need to act. It's like, no, they're not. You're the one. We are teaching kids that that's what they should aspire to, because they're on the TV and they're flashy and charismatic, and we love to look up to that. No matter how much we try to act like we hate the Odell Beckhams of the world, we fucking love it because it's awesome. And then it becomes they need to be flashy, charismatic, but also they need to fit into this box so that I don't have to teach my kid right and wrong. Odell Beckham can teach my kid right and wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't think the onus ever falls on the celebrity to do those things. But I understand where Lottie's coming from, which is the fact that they are hugely influential, hugely popular. And a lot of people believe that the responsibility does fall on people when they become that big, that they have now a platform where they need to use it positively. Or else they're at least subject to criticism.
Well, I think Kim has largely done that in the most recent years, especially with prison reform in particular.
That has helped her image.
Yeah, I mean, say what you will, but she's done some good things in that department.
She has. And people still are like, yeah, but and it's like, she got a person out of jail.
Right. Right.
Can we stop with the yeah, but for just a second?
Mm-hmm.
I think that that girl that she got out of jail, I think she's done it with a couple of people, but that girl who had been locked up for a while, she got her out, and it's like, I bet you that she's not going, yeah, but she's going, I'm out and free,
Right.
and it's because somebody gave a shit about my case who was super popular.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kim Kardashian is not the most popular person on the planet. Let's get that straight for a second. If somebody else with that kind of power and influence wanted to do what Kim Kardashian did, they could.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying it's Drake's responsibility to do something like that, but I can tell you that Drake has the power and influence to move the needle in the way that Kim Kardashian does.
Yeah, of course.
So, can you open the door? I think Bo's right outside the door.
Their dog left out.
Yeah. So my uncle was like, I think Bo's looking for you. Excuse me. Anyway,
Right.
I don't know how
think-
we...
well,
Oh, I know
what
how
I
we
was-
got here. Go ahead.
what I was trying to say before we got into the Kardashians was that I think, like you were saying, it sucks that she had to be in this position to have to even release a statement of any kind, but she did specifically because her husband put her in that position, which is
Right.
you know, like
Again, another thing where it's like, why is it, now the onus falls on her to have to come out and defend the family and make a statement when it should be fucking his responsibility.
and then still getting shit on the entire time.
The whole time.
Because of perception and her history
Mhm.
and just this ingrained idea that it's somehow always the wife or girlfriend or significant other's fault that, X person didn't get the help they needed.
Bro, I this is a little off topic, but still kind of on topic. I follow Mia Khalifa on Instagram, and only on Instagram. Okay.
Sure.
And
Famous ex porn
yeah.
star. There's a more eloquent way of saying porn star nowadays. I forget what it is. Adult film actress.
Adult film actress. If you
Yeah.
talk to her, she
Former.
wouldn't even accept that.
Yeah, former. She's now just a kind of an internet.
Just really an internet personality, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And her experience speaks to how we treat women and women celebrities in American society.
Mhm.
She famously became a huge porn star really quickly because she's Lebanese, and she's obviously, Jesus Christ. Dogs, dog, I swear to
These
God.
dogs are barking.
I just want to put them all out of their misery.
I thought you were gonna
My
say-
misery.
I thought you were going to say I just want to put them all down.
That's the German Shepherd. And
I can tell.
they don't have any control. No one has any control over him.
There's no control over that German
Yeah.
Shepherd.
I honestly, man, I think that like dogs in general, but him especially, if a dog was just like, I'm done with this, they would eliminate everyone in this house.
Yeah.
Think about if a dog, like a German Shepherd,
Mhm.
just decided, I'm done with this. I'm done with the order. I'm done with the rules. I want to leave. I'm taking this whole family down one by one. All you have to do is one bite to the throat on every one of us. We're out. I get.
Throats back out.
I'm not saying that I'm not afraid of him because I know he wouldn't do that. But like, it only takes him doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
If you
we're
wanted to,
yeah, we're an inch. Life or death is an inch when it comes to. I mean, they're beasts. Listen to that bark.
It's comical how weak humans are.
Exactly. The idea that we're at the top of the food chain is insane.
Because of this.
That's it.
Oh,
That's it.
these guys. That's all.
That's it right here. This is the only reason we're at the top, baby. That's it. Man, if this was just a little bit smaller and we didn't have these, boy howdy. Anyway, shit, what was I saying? Oh, Mia Khalifa.
Right.
So she's become she skyrockets to the top of, I don't know, porn charts or whatever. I don't know.
Those porn charts.
She got really popular really fast, and she got all these death threats from her home country and all these people saying, like, you know, because she was wearing a hijab in her.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was the big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at it historically, she only did porn for like 4 months. She made a couple of videos with like Bang Brothers and all that shit. And then she was done with it. And she
Is that their legal name?
Bang Brothers. Bang Brothers. The Bang Brothers, yeah. You hear? Bang Brothers LLC.
Bang Bros is short for the Banger Brothers.
The Banger Brothers Esquire.
Right.
So she got done with that shit, and then anybody who knows her story kind of knows where I'm going with this. But that was a small fraction of her life as a celebrity. She's now done more things for longer than she ever did any porn at all. She hasn't exposed her body in that way in years. She's done, like, you know, sports analysts. She's hosted a bunch of stuff. She's become basically one of these internet celebrities. You see her pop up on IG and Instagram. Yeah. So she's parlayed that into, you know, celebrity for herself. She's made a lot of money, and you can't deny the fact that is the thing that sprungboard her into our national consciousness.
Right.
But the fact remains that she's done with that. And yet, if you look at her Instagram, bro, it is filthy.
Yeah.
With people who are just like, show us your tits again. You're only famous because of porn. You're a dirty slag. Dude, it's gross.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, that's the kind of shit that, do you think that people go to Ray J's comments and say you're only famous because you made a sex tape with Kim Kardashian? Then don't sit here and try to say that he had a music career before that, because fuck you. Ray J did not have a music career before that. Ray J was Moesha's brother. Right. Stop it. Okay? Stop it.
Yeah.
And Brandy's brother. I know people are going to be like, that's the character. I know who the fuck it is. So Brandy
had a music career.
A good one.
You see the difference?
Yeah. So, you know, and it's just the easiest, it's the low-hanging fruit of American hypocrisy when it comes to pop culture and how we treat women and stuff. And I just say all that to illustrate the fact that Kim Kardashian, no matter what she does, she could fucking run for president and win. And you would still go, and she started from humble beginnings as a porn star. And it'd be like, that has nothing, that is like the smallest part of her celebrity. Yeah, so, and people like that weighs on Kanye as if he didn't know that when he married her and had 4 kids with her.
I've seen all the responses on Twitter of just the screen cap of the sex tape.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, his fans, I don't think that they're not, when I look at Kanye's fans, they're not really fans. They're not really fans of his.
No, they like the show. They like the spectacle. That's it. And that was made apparent when he was mid-crisis and people were just egging him on or making jokes about it.
Yeah.
Like, it was gross. So it was disgusting to see all these people coming together just to ogle at the spectacle of it all.
Yeah.
This guy clearly going through something bad, and we don't know where this is going to end at that point, especially. He's cooled down since and talked about focusing on his music or whatever, but at that time, like, I was actually really worried about what happened to him.
Yeah.
So just to see, I don't know. It was just the worst of the internet coming out of you don't love the artist at all. You're just there for the show, the entertainment. That's it.
Yeah.
at any cost. It doesn't matter if they're in danger, if they're endangering themselves. You just want to see the show.
Yeah, and then if something does happen, then it's going to be all rest in peace, and he died too young, and we could have helped him, and didn't have to be this way, blah blah blah. And I can't believe he did it, man. I mean, why didn't he tell anybody? Why weren't there warning signs?
Right. You were too busy laughing at them.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. It's like we said before, it's a very complicated issue. He's a very complicated man, and to say that the answer is he needs to be on medicine is oversimplifying it. And
it's diagnosing without knowing the facts. That's not our place. That's not anybody's place in the public sphere to diagnose Kanye West.
Yeah.
And say what treatment he needs.
Right.
He needs to find that himself, clearly.
But I think my overall point is he has to live with the decisions that he makes and with the things that he says.
Yeah, of course.
And he is a public figure, and if he's going to walk in front of a microphone and say, abortion bad, no, wait, abortion okay, he has to live with that. And I'm not going to let him off the hook because he's having a manic episode, according to some people on the internet.
Well, and on top of that, like, just from public opinion, I mean, again, he slut-shamed his wife.
Yeah.
On a very public platform. Like, you don't just walk away from that and write it off as like, oh, he was just having a bad day.
Yeah.
Like, my opinion was immediately changed by him doing that. I mean, he'd already kind of dug his hole for me, a long time ago when he was talking about things that he clearly didn't understand at all.
Yeah.
But that just that was another nail in the coffin of I don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah.
I used to love you. But
yeah, that's the thing. It's like he's making himself just an unlikable person, even from I've defended, up until recently, all of his transgressions, I say in quotes because it was mostly white people who didn't like what he was doing. And it was because he was hurting white feelings. But it's gotten to a point where it's like, dog, like you're just like, ugh, I just don't like him. Just don't like him as a person.
Yeah. It's a new level.
Or the person that he's presenting to the public, because we don't know him as a person.
Sure, but that perception is all we have to go off of. So
yeah,
I don't think it's fair to take that as face value.
Yeah,
and roll off that. But I don't know. I mean, for all we know, we're a bunch of fools just playing into the game, man.
Right. Yeah. Did you hear that story? That the whole Trump stuff, all of the Trump stuff was excuse me. All of it was a ploy to gain Donald Trump's trust.
Ah, okay.
And then once he was in there with the Republicans and the right wing, he was gonna flip it on him.
Ah, okay.
He's gonna flip it on him and come back to the Kanye the old Kanye, right?
Just like the 3D chess that Trump's been playing, right?
Yeah. Well, one story was like he needed Donald Trump to get this whole prison reform ball in motion, as if that's the number one issue on Kanye's docket,
right?
As if that's the thing he's been championing for years. That's his. Yeah. No, we need God back in schools.
Sure, and in the government. That's what we need.
Yeah.
No separation of church and state, please.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about Kanye
I'm
enough.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Well, you're not getting a break, bud, because we're about to talk about something even more exhausting.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do now is we're going to let you off the hook on this one if you don't want to be a part of this. We desperately want to talk about The Last of Us Part 2. And we haven't been able to because we've been saving it for the show. And that show is today. That's tonight's show. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna review these beers. We're gonna break out of here as far as the show proper is concerned. But if you want to stick around, here comes The Last of Us Part 2 Spoilercast.
Spoilercast.
It's good.
Thank you.
So let's review these beers so we can
Okay.
let the people out of here. What did you think of your People of the Sun?
They're both really good. I don't think I ever had this one on draft while people actually drank in public places. Apparently, it was like a fan favorite. My cousin Nicole, big fan of People of the Sun. I think it's her favorite at Sideward, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and so I got pretty hyped behind this one after her recommendation, and for good reason. It's delicious. It's very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the OG one's wheat ale with Florida citrus and Florida sugarcane, and the remix is wheat ale with Florida citrus, Florida sugarcane, watermelon, and dragon fruit. So I will say the OG is a bit plainer, as you might assume.
Right.
Very easy drinking. Just really like a hint of that citrus flavor. It's not super strong. It's almost like more of like a peel kind of, like you get kind of that bitter citrus flavor in there.
Yeah.
It's not super sharp, which I actually like, and it balances it out really well,
Mm-hmm.
which is always our magic word when we're tasting beers.
That's right. Balance, baby, balance.
The watermelon and dragon fruit, for me, honestly, it goes a little bit too far in the sweetness department.
Mm.
I was hoping for something, I guess, a little crisper, if that makes sense. It's still really good because the elements are all there, and I do like the flavor. It's just a hint too sweet, I guess.
Yeah.
It just doesn't quite line up the way I was expecting it to. I think I was looking for a little more watermelon in there, and just it kind of weighs down the freshness. Bless Lottie.
If you got a cough, can you leave the room?
All that being said, I think I like the OG just a little bit better. I'm going to give it a 4.5. The remix with the watermelon and dragon fruit is going to get a solid 4 for me.
All right.
Both recommended. Check them out.
All right. I'm going to give this Intuition Party Wave New England IPA a 4.5 out of 6 bottle caps. Very solid. I have some waiting for you, so when we finally can see each other, you can taste it. But yeah, I think minus the cringe of the cold read, it's a very solid beer. I don't really understand okay, so Citra, Cascade, Chinook hops. Pretty run-of-the-mill New England IPA,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell. I don't really understand why it needs. I guess the hop content that makes it a New England IPA would make it limited release. Probably harder to get those materials on a permanent basis. There's nothing special about this that I go, oh man, I needed to have this limited release. God forbid I miss this one.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's not even like the limited nature of the ingredients. It's just they decide to experiment with a certain mix of stuff too.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, very solid, but nothing special.
Yeah.
I don't mean that as an insult. It is what it is.
Yeah.
4.5.
Great brewery.
They are.
Yeah.
So let's get a nice little yeah, there you go. All right. That's it for that. But we can't get out of here without discussing why we're really here and what this podcast is really about. It's not about the Kardashians. It's not about politics. It's not even really about beer. It's about two nerds nerding out over nerd stuff. Okay?
Yep.
So
That's what we're founded on.
yeah, that is the staple. That is the pillars of this podcast. And so this is your cue. You're drinking water to
Cleansing the palate.
right. All right. We had to have talked about The Last of Us.
I gave my impressions on 2 episodes ago, I think it was.
No, I mean the first one.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we did.
Yeah.
That came out during the lifetime of the show, did it not?
Yeah, definitely. 2016? 2015?
I think it was before that.
I don't know. The show hasn't been around that long. Actually, it kind of has.
Yeah, it has.
Well, we've definitely talked about it.
Of course, yeah.
Um,
It's always up there in the top games of all time discussion.
2013 is when The Last of Us came out.
Okay, and then it was.
Oh yeah, because it was on PlayStation 3. That's right.
Yeah.
And then they re-released it.
It was one of the last games on PS3.
Yeah. Yes. That's right.
They did the remaster for PS4.
I can't believe it's that old.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Especially because it holds up so well.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, before we could go into details about it, you proclaimed it to be a masterpiece, one of the best sequels ever made.
We should also say, obviously, spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, this is the spoiler part of the show. So if you haven't played The Last of Us Part 2, you need to turn this show off now.
Yeah.
Or just pause it, play the game, come back.
Yeah.
Pause it for 25 hours and come back.
Short, right? Yeah.
How long did it take you to finish it? It took me about 23 hours. 23 because I'm not a completionist. Doug, there were some levels, there were some parts where you're supposed to sneak through, and after a while I would get caught. I just go fuck it, and just book it.
Yeah, I would do the same thing sometimes. I'm like,
Yeah, I would just get too stressed out. I was done sneaking around. There was too many people to try to. Yep. I couldn't do it. I was like, fuck this. I need to go that way. Fuck it. I'm out. I'm out.
And it works.
It worked. Almost every time it worked.
Yep.
No, every time. Every time I decided to do it, I made it. So.
Yeah, I'm a bit more of a completionist, especially with this game, because I feel like a lot of there are a few moments where it opens up and you have not an open world necessarily, but you can kind of check out the areas as you please. Kind of similar to Uncharted 4, where you just, like, those Jeep areas where you can just kind of explore. You know,
they definitely made it they made a conscious effort to make them more open worldy. Mm-hmm. I mean, because we know that they're a linear story, and once you get to a point where you need to do what the story is telling you to do, but they wanted to kind of give you a little bit more sense of freedom. And
and I don't know if you heard this, but the game was originally going to be a fully open world game.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was originally going to be an open world game where like your kind of main hub is Jackson, and you just kind of take on missions from there and like search around the.
Wow, that is a huge departure.
Yeah, and initially, you were supposed to, I guess, not know anything about Abby, and she was going to be introduced into the town, and Joel was going to help her out for like an extended period of time, kind of go under her wing, and then eventually double cross him, and that be the start of the revenge tale for. So
interesting.
Yeah, they went a different direction, obviously.
I'm glad that they did.
Me too.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Too much, I think.
Yeah, I just don't think that the game is, because I mean you're gonna no, yeah. unless you're like playing in the past, it'd be hard to just to because the problem with games like that is it rips you out of the story when you do some weirdo shit off in the woods. You know, like imagine like Grand Theft Auto, for instance. You have a story that you need to play, but you can also just drive a boat into the sea. You can go scuba diving and find UFOs. You can, I mean, take ayahuasca and.
Well, I mean, especially with Red Dead, Red Dead
Yeah.
2. There's a lot of like, oh, we got to get going on this thing, but also let's spend 10 hours just walking around the forest for a while.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's the pro and con of open world games, sandbox games, is you do whatever the fuck you want, but also it doesn't really make any sense to just go off and never come back for 3 days and then continue the mission as if none of that shit you just did matters.
Yeah, it rips you out of the experience. But you were saying at the open here that I was calling it a
Masterpiece.
one of the best sequels of
Godfather 2.
Yes, exactly. And I still stand by that. How do you feel about that now that you've completed your adventure?
I, for the life of me, can't wrap my head around the criticism that this game got.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I think it was. I tried to look up some of the criticism that people thought was valid criticism.
Right. Not just I don't like playing as girl.
Yeah. Came down to plot pacing, and people had, I guess, an issue with the gameplay itself. Gameplay-wise, that's up for debate. I think, if you don't like the mechanics of the game, whatever, that definitely goes into your score of the video game.
Yeah.
Because it's at its core, it's a video game.
It's Last of Us 1, but refined, basically.
Yeah.
They don't alter anything dramatically. It's not a revolution of the system. It's really more of the same, but I think just kind of tweaked a little bit to make it that much better.
I think that what you said before is exactly right. The fact that they called it Part 2, and the fact that it is literally just a continuation of the original story. It's not, I never went into it thinking like, how come they haven't tried to do unique things with the gameplay, and why is it feels so similar? It's like, to me, that was the point. To me, it seemed like they always wanted to just continue, like they had more to say with these characters, and they had a point that they wanted to get across about the choices that they make in this world, and trying to revolutionize the gameplay of a pseudo open world but pretty much linear game was not at the top of their list. It was telling a compelling story. And in that regard, I agree. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's one of the best sequels I've ever played in my whole life. I was glued to it. I played it every waking moment that I had that it wasn't working.
Yeah.
It's an amazing game. Just amazing. There were parts where I was just like, I was debating on turning the difficulty all the way down so that I could just get through the story.
Yeah.
Just get more, because I was equal parts super stressed out, and also just needed to know where they were going with it.
Yep.
So.
And I think that they just, for me, they balanced out everything so well, and they took a lot of risks as far as how far they can take the narrative and how far they can punish you as the player before you go, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to play this game anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. I think they got it just right, just up to that little, like the quitting point where some people would just say, I don't want to play anymore. I'm done. And they rode you right up to that point, and that was the point of the game. I think without that, the story wouldn't have hit as hard, because it is so much about a cycle of violence and wanting you to be repulsed by your own actions by the player, or by being the player as these characters.
Do you think that it's valid to dock a point from the game if the storytelling made you so uncomfortable that you did stop playing it?
I don't think that it's not a valid point if you were so, I guess, uncomfortable or just at a point where you didn't want to play anymore because of the conscious decisions they made in pacing and things of that nature. Like you texted me near the end in that final section where you go back as Ellie to try to get revenge again, and you seemed frustrated and like you really didn't want to play anymore. Like this game keeps going on forever, and I felt that same exact way.
Yeah,
I felt that same exact way.
That part, I still think that even after getting done with it, other than the final fight in the water, other than that, I didn't need to play any of that. Getting in the house, finding her, getting through the neighborhood. I don't believe that added anything to the story or the gameplay. We had already gotten to a point where you had collected every weapon you could collect. You had done all the fighting and maneuvering that you could do in the game. There was nothing new to discover in that pseudo epilogue portion of the game. I just didn't think it was necessary. It added 2 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, what's the point of this?
I came around on that only after I beat the game, because at first I was like, all the reports of this game being too long are correct. But then once I played through that and got to the end and we had that conclusion, I mean, maybe this is me just, sniff my own farts, but I feel like that was that feeling that you got of like, God damn it, here we go again. Like, I don't want to do this again. Was intentional. I think that was exactly on purpose to elicit that feeling of not only do I not like the character decisions here, but Ellie is putting me in a position that I am uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. Like, let's stop. And I think that collectively, by the end of it, when you're finally fighting Abby in the beach, that final fight, it makes it that much more brutal because you end up like really like wanting to scream at the TV, just stop.
Yeah.
Stop it. It's not worth it. Cut it out. And I think that's enhanced because you're forced to play a bit longer than you're comfortable with. You're
interesting.
To be uncomfortable, tired of it, just to be over it. And I think that if intentional,
right,
was a super brave move.
Yeah.
To intentionally make it so that you as a developer are making a game undesirable to play at a certain point. But I feel like that was the intention. And even if that's something I'm just putting into it because I like kind of like masochistic fiction and things that really test the boundaries of enjoyment.
Yeah.
My entertainment, I was all bored for it by the end of it. I didn't like it at the time, but in retrospect, I think that added to the impact.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, when you put it like that, I still hated it, but I mean, just because it's like, I think that, no, never mind. No, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say that I think you would get the same feeling just watching it, but you're right. No, you wouldn't get the same feeling. You would need to be put in a position where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. When does it end? Because that's the same idea that they're trying to get across, which is, when does it end? When are you finally happy or content, or when can you finally accept that this is what it is? These were choices made by people, and you have to live with those choices. One choice that really rubbed people the wrong way that I saw was a lot of valid to various degrees. And not since Metal Gear Solid 2 have people been so angry with the fake out. You're under the impression that this is a story about Ellie and her plot for revenge. Now, when you watch the trailers, you think that Dean is going to die. And you think that you're going to play with Joel and Ellie. and you're going to go after presumably Abby or someone else or some organization that killed Dina.
At first,
Or group, I should say.
a lot of people were thinking that Abby was Ellie's mother. That was the original.
Oh, interesting.
Because one of the first previews they had was her strapped up, about to get carved open by the what are their names?
The scars.
Yeah. So people were thinking like maybe there was a flashback where you play as Ellie's mom.
Yeah.
And that Abby was Ellie's mom, which is hilarious now in hindsight.
Yeah. I think they did a really good job with the fake outs with the trailer.
For sure.
I'm not mad at that. There are people who are mad at that. There are people who are upset by the fact that they were led to believe that the game was going to be one thing, and then when they got it, it wasn't. And
that's great. Why are you upset about a surprise like that?
Exactly. Why would you be? Because it's not what people wanted. People wanted to play as Joel. They wanted to go back and live in that same life. And it's like, then they got upset when he dies in like the first 2 hours of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is a really good and brave choice for a video game developer to go, you know, one of the most popular characters of this iteration of video games, yeah, we're going to fucking snuff him out. And then, you know what else we're going to do? We're going to make you play as his killer. And you are going to understand her decision-making. Mm-hmm. We're going to force you to live inside of her psyche. We're going to force you to see her as a human being.
Yeah.
I love it. I hated it, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, remember when I said just like the first one, we'll never play this game again.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't understand the perspective of people who seem to have thought that Joel was this hero. He as a character himself never defined himself that way. In fact, the opposite. In the first one, he has this entire small little like dialogue excerpt where he says, you know, like, I've done terrible things, essentially. When you get hit by the that little encampment of people that were trying to trick you to help him, and he goes, no, he's not hurt. Hold on. And you get attacked by them.
Yeah.
And Ellie asks you, how did you know? And he goes, well, I've done that same thing before. Like, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're forced to be that bad person in this world to survive, but that does not nullify the fact that he is, throughout his entire life, once this pandemic hit, he was forced to do terrible things to people who didn't deserve it.
Right.
And if you think that that's not going to leave a trail of people who are wanting him dead, I don't know what game you were playing.
Right.
It seems like that's a lot of the discourse here is people that are upset that think that Joel's just this like John McClane character where he's the good guy.
Yeah.
And you know, like he's this moral compass or somebody to aspire to be, and by killing him, you're messing up the entire story because now we don't have that anymore. It's like that is the entire point. That he's a hero to Ellie at one point, not even throughout the entire game. At one point, she figures out that he was lying to her about what happened at the hospital.
Yeah.
And
I think
that switches. That flips for her even, and that's her father figure now.
Yeah. We justify the decision-making of characters like that because I think just in America as a whole, we have this love affair with anti-heroes. Yeah. And so he is the perfect representation of that, a guy who is not a good person. He is, like you said, a bad dude, but he's now made, you know, when we get introduced to him, he's still this moral, there's still that thing in there and you want to root for it. You want it to come out. You want him to be this good person. And his love for Ellie is enough for people to go, well, fuck it. I don't really care what he did in his past. I'm here for what he's doing now.
Right.
The thing is, though, if the first game was if the first game you played as Abby
Hmm.
and you got to know her as a person, I wonder how angry people would be with her as a character. If your first introduction of her wasn't her killing Joel.
Yeah.
Let's say you knew her story at the same time as Joel's.
Hmm.
Then their stories do this and then cross paths, right?
Yeah.
If you explain that, if you had that narrative going at the same time, I wonder how angry people would be with Abby as a character. I mean, still angry because she's a woman, but I wonder I wonder if people would have been as angry had they got to know her and seen that the decisions that she make are also horrible. But if you're going to justify Joel's decisions, you have to justify Abby's. You have to. Hers are more justifiable and more understandable if you have a good father in your life.
Right.
They're more understandable than his decision. This stranger, this girl that he just met months ago, he is so he sees her as this figure. She represents what he lost. She represents innocence to him. She represents his old life, his daughter, and everything that he lost. She represents that for him, and he can't lose that. So he kills everybody in that hospital. He destroys the Fireflies as an organization, and he effectively signs the death certificate of the human race because he can't accept that his old life is gone. Innocence is over. He can't accept that. And so he does all of that. And then go ahead.
They underline that in part 2, I think, in a really effective way when you have the scene of the doctor, Abby's dad, talking about the potential of this cure.
Yeah.
Of being able to get it. But then explains that, Ellie will have to die for it. And then I forget her name. What's her name? The Firefly?
I know who you're talking about. The one in the first game.
Yeah, who sent you on the mission to begin with.
Yeah.
She's way more sympathetic in this scene where she's like, "Are you kidding me? Like you're talking about killing a little girl here. Like
yeah.
Like that's really all right with you? Like I would think that you out of everyone would have an issue with that because he has a daughter about her age." And he explains like it sucks, but this is our chance.
Yeah.
This can save millions and millions and make everything we've been through worth it.
And again, his decision, he doesn't come to that decision lightly. It's not as if the Fireflies look at Ellie as like a lab rat. They understand that. They understand the decision that they're making. They understand the gravity of doing what they have to do to this girl. I mean, they're not this evil organization. They're doing what they have to do, just as Joel had done in the first game. So, yeah, I mean, I get that people are attached to him as a character, but it really shows me. I mean, it just shows the hypocrisy of a lot of gamers to be able to justify Joel's actions, but not Abby's, for reasons that I mean, I know some of the reasons, but people who would say that they're not, they don't hate her for being a woman, and don't hate yoked. I'll be honest, dog. When she first got introduced to the game, I was like, "Who is this big bitch broad or this big arm broad?" Like, God damn, look at this fucking. She's brolic. She's big, almost comically. Uh-oh. All right, we're back on. We had some technical difficulties. He's now on mobile. There you go. Anyway, she's jacked as all hell. I think that was the point that I was making.
You were saying when you first started playing as her, you felt a certain way.
I was so surprised at how fucking huge she was. It was almost comical at how big she was. I was like, Am I supposed to take this seriously? She's massive. And then, no offense. I know this is going to sound stereotypical, but I was really surprised that she was heterosexual. Okay. I was surprised. I was surprised. I was surprised at that decision making. She was just so big that I was like, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I'm just saying.
Straight girls can be jacked too, okay?
Of course they can. I'm not saying that they can't. I'm obviously not saying that. I'm just saying in a game world, in a world where we're being very inclusive and we're being very progressive with these characters' stories, I don't know. I just thought, like, it wouldn't have surprised me. Like, when I saw the character and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, okay, I get it. I get that's where we're going with it. No big deal. I'm down. I'm with it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, fine. That shows my prejudice, okay?
Yeah.
Or my ignorance, all right? I will accept that, okay? What? What are you whining about? Come here. Come on. Look at this guy. Your audio is fucked up. It's coming in late. You're like it's like a newscast. It's like 3 seconds delayed.
Let me try without the AirPods.
Yeah.
The earphones as I listening.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Wait, this is still weird. I think the audio is still going to my AirPods. Talk?
Hello. Hi, how's it going? I'm Marco Dupa. It's podcast. Everybody's
weird.
here and enjoy themselves.
Hold on a sec. Hold on. Yeah.
I hope he finds it.
Hold on. I tried calling me back.
Say what now?
I still can't hear it. It's so weird.
You can't hear me at all. Hello?
Let me call you back.
All right. Okay. I think we got it all taken care of. Frankie's now joined me for the rest of the show, apparently. He wants to be let out, but he can't be trusted. No, he can't.
No.
He can't be trusted. Yes, you do.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I still have a lot to learn about women's physique and how I get it. Okay, but still,
okay.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Which I guess is not a glowing endorsement of.
No.
I'm
Listen,
not
there
the
are
only.
plenty of Nazis.
That's what I'm running on. Is I'm not the only one. I'm just saying I'm not the only one. So yeah, she gets introduced in the most brutal of ways. I think the only thing that I'll say, I guess, is a mild criticism is, I mean, everything that happened, I think, was pretty well foreshadowed to the point that I wasn't surprised by anything. When Joel bit it, I mean, of course, Abby was looking for Joel. What would have really thrown me for a loop is that they were like looking for Ellie or Tommy or somebody else. But like my first thought was, oh, they're gonna murk Joel for sure. Like he's about to eat it.
Yeah.
So
one of the criticisms I've seen around is that people are upset that Joel and Tommy would make that mistake after going through everything they've been through. But I mean, I've seen the response that I agree with, which is basically they've been living good for the past
4 years.
Yeah. And they're in this city that's essentially the closest thing you can get to, the olden times,
Mm-hmm.
and they got comfortable, and they're in this, the situation that they kind of had to think on their feet again for the first time in probably a long time, with new people in that way.
Well, and maybe they're suspicious of them because they might get jumped and their guns get stolen or something. But other than that, why would they be suspicious of her? She was out there. They saved her life. They needed to get off the road, right? She's like, my people are back at this mansion. We should go there. We're not going to make it to Jackson. I don't understand. What mistake did they really make given the situation? It'd be one thing if she just came strolling up to Jackson and she was like, hey, do you mind coming back? I got to show you something. That's right. But given the situation, I don't see what else they could have done. Told her to go fuck herself, and then they go out there with hundreds of infected. I don't know. I think that's dumb. I don't think that that's valid criticism. I think there are some plot points that need some. I mean, the pacing is a little weird, and I don't know. I'm trying to think of the gripes that I had as I was playing it.
I mean, Tommy getting shot in the face and surviving.
He got his shit blown out, and then they were like, he just lost an eye.
He's back.
Not half his brain.
Yeah.
He'll be all right. That one, that was low.
It missed all the brain.
I didn't really. Yeah, that didn't make. And point blank, Jesse got shot right in the face. Looked like the same spot. He went down and was dead instantly.
He did not come back.
So, dude, that surprised me. The door opens and boom, he just drops. I was like, oh shit, we're getting real. We're getting really real. I'm trying to. What else? I'm like visualizing the game in my head again. Just going through it.
I think I saw like Ellie not being satisfied. Given everything, like when you're back at the farm near the end of the game, that like midway point, and I don't know. I could just tell that this wasn't really the end. It seemed like too happy of an ending, too clean. I just knew she wouldn't be able to let it go.
Yeah, something was going to happen. I thought that Abby was going to show up, and that you were going to have some kind of fight scene in the middle of the fucking farm, or that Dina was going to get killed at the very end, something like that. But you could tell that like this wasn't like the epilogue scene in Uncharted 4 where you just kind of walk around the beach as their daughter and you're just kind of discovering stuff, and it's
Uncharted 4 spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry. I mean, shit. Sorry. Well, fuck. Whatever.
It's an old game. It's fine. Should have played it already. Sorry.
Yeah. Fuck you. So where you going? Oh, okay. So I knew it was going to be deeper than that. There was no way it was just going to, end on some cute little epilogue there. So that was predictable. Yeah. Trying to think of what else. I'm trying to think of like valid criticism that I had for the game. But I get that the switcheroo of having to play as Abby was jarring to a lot of people. I think that they failed to make her sympathetic enough. I understand why she did what she did, but at the end of the game, I still disliked her. And it's because of who she was as a person. She came across as a bitch.
Well, the line that stuck with me was when she was talking to her pregnant friend. Yeah. That she was sleeping around with a old boy with.
That's not cool.
Yeah. And she said, "You're a piece of shit."
Yeah.
Just flat out.
And she said, "You've always been a piece of shit."
Right. And I think I'm giving the writers a lot of credit here, but I feel like she was written somewhat unsympathetically to display what happened when vengeance became like her only motive. Like from that point on, she just became a machine dedicated to finding and killing Joel. That's it. That's all she cared about. She didn't care about anybody else. She didn't care about anybody else's feelings. She clearly dedicated her life to getting yoked to the gills in order to be a killing machine, in order to protect herself and to find Joel and be able to kill him when she did.
Yeah.
And, you know, to hell with anyone who got in her way or anyone who happened to be in her vicinity. And sure, that's not who she is deep down, but that's who she became. Yeah. And I think everyone realized that by the end. Like, even she did. I think by the time that she was on that beach crucified, you know, like, none of that vengeance stuff mattered anymore.
Right.
You know, and kind of finding someone else to care about, I think helped her on her journey to become a person again and not just be this vehicle of vengeance against Joel. Because even once she killed him, it didn't help her out.
Didn't help anybody. The whole group was still like, you know, we don't feel good about that. It didn't guess anything. No. Which is another good lesson that I feel like the writers try to get across, is like you're not going to get what you think you're going to get once you finally have your vengeance.
Yeah. And you just open the door for more violence.
I think that they could have done a better job of making her sympathetic before the turn, so that once we got to that point, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, of course she's consumed by vengeance. Now, the same thing with Ellie. Ellie was consumed by vengeance too, made her at the end kind of unlikable, because it's like you have this beautiful life. Well, I'm trying to be, I guess I was trying to lay it on a little nicer, but yeah, pretty unlikable, because you're like,
she held the knife to the throat of a child.
Yeah. And you just think like you have everything. You have a good life. Right. In all of this chaos, you were able to land on something beautiful, and you were so consumed by vengeance that you weren't able to see the forest from the trees. No pun intended. And it's really sad, and it's kind of infuriating, you know, when you're like, I just want you to be happy, and you don't want it. All you want is this vengeance. And again, she discovers it too, and she discovers it too late. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a really good. I loved that she came back and she lost everything. I love that they decided to do that, which another thing that was like kind of you could kind of see that coming, but at the same time they could have done the whoop-de-whoop and have her still be there. And I loved that at the end of it all, Abby survives, Ellie loses everything in this quest for vengeance. It's just so depressing and so well told in that respect. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it you know, I think it leaves it open for interpretation as far as what the end of the story is. Does she go back to Jackson? Does she try to, you know, win back her relationship? Does she try to get back into this reformed world that she was kind of maybe should be exiled from after you know, turning her back on it? Like what happens now? Does she feel like she's too lost for that? Does she just walk into the oblivion at this point? Like, what happens?
Yeah.
So
it does leave it. I mean, I wouldn't say it leaves it open to a part 3, because it's like, all right, well, I mean, what is she going to go? If they do a part 3 and she's going after Abby again, I'm just like, okay,
no,
you lost me. I'm not doing it.
No, I don't think they would do that. I think that final letting go was her learning her lesson, especially when she gets back and can't even play the guitar anymore, which was her link to Joel is now gone.
So brutal. So brutal that they do that.
Yep. So I think that was enough for her to learn a lesson and like no, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, I said this after I beat the first game. I hope there's not a sequel because, I mean, it ends the way that I feel like it should.
I can't do this anymore.
I don't want it anymore. Please stop.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I love it. I agree with you. I think that it's one of the best video game sequels of all time.
You agree with yourself.
I agree with me.
You agree with me agreeing with you.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I highly recommend it. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Just play the game, especially if you played the first one.
Well, you ruined it for everyone if they haven't yet. But
oh, right. Yeah, if you have. Well, I mean, no. You can't play it now. You can't play it now.
You're not allowed.
We've pretty much given it all away.
But I'd like to say, if you disagree and you think the game is trash, or you think that it just failed in some way, let us know why. I'd say give us an explanation as to why it failed to you.
I want to hear valid criticism. Yeah. Real, not just, well, they made me play as Abby and I didn't want to play as Abby and Abby sucks. Whatever, man. Give me real criticism as to why you didn't like it.
Yeah. More than just I didn't like that I was playing a character that I didn't like because they killed a character I liked.
Yeah.
You know? That's the point.
Yeah. Save it if that's your criticism. All right. Let's get the fuck out of here before we have any more technical difficulties.
Please. My arm is getting tired.
All right, everybody. That was the show. Like, share, and subscribe. Drink delicious beer and have a beautiful evening.
We love you.